The downpour cascaded in relentless torrents as 34-year-old Benjamin Foster hurriedly traversed the desolate streets of central Riverside, tightly grasping his toolbox, desperately hoping to reach home before the storm intensified. His work uniform was thoroughly soaked, and his boots splashed through puddles, reflecting the faint glow of streetlights in the industrial sector. Benjamin had stayed late at the warehouse, repairing a malfunctioning conveyor system that demanded immediate attention. As a single father to 6-year-old Lucas, every overtime shift was vital. Even if it meant trudging home in such weather, his aging truck sidelined at the mechanic's shop yet again. A piercing wail sliced through the storm's clamor, halting Benjamin in his tracks. It wasn't merely a cry, it was the frantic, terrified sobbing of a child intertwined with a woman's soothing voice attempting to provide comfort. The sounds emanated from a narrow alleyway nestled between two abandoned structures. Benjamin hesitated for only a fleeting moment before cautiously advancing toward the source. His paternal instincts, sharpened by years of raising Lucas alone, overshadowed any concerns for his personal safety. What he discovered ignited both fury and deep compassion within his heart. A young woman, likely in her mid-20s, huddled against a weathered brick wall under the unyielding rain. Her blonde hair was matted and disheveled, clinging to her face. Her white dress was torn and stained with mud, and even in the dim light, Benjamin could discern bruises marring her arms and cheeks. In her arms, she cradled a toddler, approximately 2 years old, who clung tightly to a small stuffed animal and whimpered softly. "Ma'am," Benjamin called out gently, careful not to startle them further. "Are you injured? Can I offer you assistance?" The woman lifted her gaze, her eyes wide with palpable fear. She instinctively drew her daughter closer, uncertain whether this stranger represented another threat or a glimmer of hope. "Please," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the rain's relentless roar. "He swore he'd hunt us down. We cannot return." Benjamin knelt slowly, his movements deliberate and non-threatening. "Who swore to find you?" "Are you escaping from someone?" The woman nodded, tears mingling with the rainwater streaming down her face. "My husband. He's been abusing us, and tonight I finally grabbed Chloe and fled. But we have nowhere to go, and I'm terrified he'll track us down." Benjamin felt a surge of protective anger toward whoever had harmed this mother and child, yet he maintained a calm, gentle tone. "My name is Benjamin Foster. I live 6 blocks from here with my son Lucas. You and your daughter need shelter from this storm and a place where you'll be safe." "I can't pay you," the woman said quickly, her voice trembling. "I have only the clothes we're wearing and a few dollars in my purse." "I'm not asking for payment," Benjamin replied softly. "I'm offering to help you get warm and dry, and then we can figure out the next steps together." The woman studied Benjamin's face under the faint streetlight, torn between desperation and the caution born of betrayal by someone meant to protect her. "I'm Abigail," she said at last, her voice wavering, "and this is Chloe." "Hello, Abigail. Hello, Chloe," Benjamin said warmly, offering a reassuring smile to the little girl. "Would you like to come to my home where it's warm and safe?" 20 minutes later, Benjamin was ushering Abigail and Chloe into his modest but tidy apartment above the corner market. The space was simple yet welcoming, with toys scattered across the living room floor and children's drawings, proudly taped to the refrigerator, clear evidence of a home where a child was deeply loved. "Lucas is at my neighbor's house tonight," Benjamin explained, handing them soft towels and dry clothes. "Mrs. Thompson watches him when I have to work late. You can use my bedroom tonight and I'll sleep on the couch." "Benjamin, you don't even know us," Abigail protested, her voice heavy with disbelief and gratitude. "Why are you doing this for us?" Benjamin paused, searching for words to articulate the instinct that compelled him to act without hesitation. 3 years ago, when Lucas's mother passed away, I learned what it feels like to be alone and frightened with a child depending on me Different circumstances, but I'll never forget how much it meant when others chose to help instead of turning away. Over the next few days, as Abigail and Chloe began to recover from their harrowing ordeal, Benjamin learned more about their distressing situation. Abigail had been trapped in an abusive marriage with a wealthy businessman who used his money and influence to isolate her from family and friends. When his cruelty extended to Chloe, Abigail summoned the courage to flee with nothing but the clothes on their backs. "The police won't help," Abigail explained, sitting in Benjamin's cozy living room while the children napped peacefully. "Charles has powerful allies in the department, and in this town, money speaks louder than truth." Benjamin felt a pang of helplessness against such systemic corruption, but he was determined to do everything in his power to keep Abigail and Chloe safe. He noticed Chloe beginning to smile, playing joyfully with Lucas's toys, and Abigail gradually relaxing in the comforting security of his humble home. On the fourth day, a sharp knock at Benjamin's door sent a chill down his spine. Through the peephole, he saw two police officers standing in the hallway, their expressions stern and official. "Mr. Foster," one officer said as Benjamin cautiously opened the door, "we need to speak with you regarding Abigail and Chloe Bennett." Benjamin's heart pounded as he invited them inside, fearing Charles had somehow tracked them down and wielded his influence to force their return. "Sir," the first officer began, "we understand you're sheltering a woman and child connected to a serious crime." "Officers, if this is about domestic abuse, Abigail is the victim here, not the criminal," Benjamin said, his voice firm yet laced with concern. The second officer raised a hand to clarify. "Mr. Foster, there's been a misunderstanding. Abigail Bennett isn't wanted for committing a crime. She's a critical witness in a federal investigation into Charles Bennett's business practices." Benjamin felt a wave of confusion mixed with relief. "I don't understand," he admitted. "Charles Bennett has been under FBI scrutiny for money laundering and fraud for the past 2 years, the officer explained. "Abigail's testimony about his financial activities is essential to the case. When she disappeared 4 days ago, we feared Charles had silenced her to prevent her from testifying," the officer continued. "Mr. Foster, by providing them a safe haven, you may have saved more than just their lives. You've protected a key witness in a case that will dismantle one of the largest criminal enterprises in the state." "But Abigail said the police wouldn't help because of her husband's connections," Benjamin countered, still processing the revelation. "That was true at the local level," the officer admitted. "Charles had corrupted several officers in the city police department, but the federal investigation was conducted entirely outside of local law enforcement. Abigail had no way of knowing help was available." Later that evening, after FBI agents had taken Abigail's statement and assured her and Chloe protective custody until the trial, Abigail sat with Benjamin on his couch, struggling to process the whirlwind of events. "Benjamin," she said quietly, her voice thick with emotion, "I need you to understand something. The night you found us in that alley, I had lost all hope. I thought we would perish in the rain, and Chloe would never have a chance at a normal life. You're both safe now," Benjamin said, his heart swelling with quiet pride. "That's what matters most." "It's more than that," Abigail insisted, her eyes glistening. "You didn't just save our lives. You reminded me that there are still good people in this world, people who choose to help without expecting anything in return." Benjamin glanced at Lucas and Chloe, who had fallen asleep together on the living room floor, surrounded by colorful picture books and toy cars. "You know what you reminded me of, Abigail?" he said softly. "That sometimes the most courageous act is simply being brave enough to ask for help when you need it." 6 months later, Benjamin stood in a federal courthouse, watching as Charles Bennett was sentenced to 25 years in prison, largely due to Abigail's courageous testimony. The conviction had dismantled a criminal network that had operated unchecked for over a decade. Abigail and Chloe, relocated to a safe city with the help of victim assistance programs, had begun a new life. Abigail sent Benjamin a heartfelt letter, with a photo of Chloe playing happily in their new backyard, smiling, healthy, and free from fear. "Daddy," Lucas said as they descended the courthouse steps, "Miss Abigail said in her letter that Chloe is starting school soon." "That's right, buddy," Benjamin replied, his voice warm with pride. "She's going to have a normal, happy childhood now." "Daddy, are we heroes?" Lucas asked, his eyes wide with wonder. Benjamin smiled, reflecting on the rainy night when a simple decision to help someone in need had transformed multiple lives and helped bring a dangerous criminal to justice. "Lucas, we're just ordinary people who chose to do the right thing when someone needed us. Sometimes that's all it takes to be a hero." As they walked home together, Benjamin reflected on how one stormy night had taught him that the most extraordinary acts often stem from the most ordinary choices. The decision to stop and assist strangers in an alley had led to justice for victims, safety for the innocent, and a powerful reminder that individual acts of courage can have far-reaching consequences. Sometimes, the most significant battles are won not by police officers or federal agents, but by everyday individuals who choose compassion over convenience, who risk their own safety to protect those who cannot protect themselves. The struggling single father who rescued a woman and child from the rain had discovered that heroism is not about possessing special powers or vast resources. It is about recognizing when someone needs help and being willing to provide it, even when the outcome remains uncertain.